What are the differences between the historical concept and the modern perspective of narcissism?
Oh, that is a big question. So if we go back to the myth, I really like the myth. So the story is that Narcissus was cursed, and or Narcissus' mother was told that he would live a long life if only he didn't know himself. So he never saw himself. He didn't know who he was. And then he's exceptionally attractive. And lots of people fall in love with him and are quite obsessed by him. But he rejects everyone. And then one day he stumbles across a pool of water. He sees his reflection and he can't take his eyes off it. He's completely besotted with this reflection. He doesn't know it's himself. And then another lover, Echo, comes along, and she's already been cursed by Zeus, by Zeus's wife Hera, because she covered for Zeus. She tried to distract his wife when her friends were cavorting with him, and Hera cursed her and meant that she could only say the last words someone else had spoken. She couldn't speak with her own voice or her own mind. And so all Echo can do is repeat back Narcissus's words to him. And of course, it all ends in tragedy because Narcissus eventually tries to embrace his lover and ends up drowning in the pool. And Echo is so ashamed at Narcissus' rejection that she runs away and hides in a cave. So that's the story. And I think there's something in that story that speaks to something in the human condition. And something as well in the dynamic between people, that there are those who can be very self-absorbed, but really don't know themselves, don't know the sort of fullness of their humanity, can't connect with other people, and kind of drown in their own obsession. And those who lose their voice, who lose their own mind, who lose their own ability to be their own person. And I see that very much in the relationship dynamics, particularly between romantic partners, where someone is really high in pathological narcissism. And then the concept has really evolved. There is the sort of more traditional psychoanalytic concepts of narcissism, which really view it on a spectrum, where narcissism is seen as a necessary part of child development to start to see yourself as special, as powerful, as influential. And that's, actually, as we move through development, we begin to lose some of that, and we're much more able to connect with other people and embrace our own and other people's strengths and limitations. And that's kind of psychological maturity. But there is a degree of healthy narcissism in terms of, if you define narcissism, which Dr. Craig Malkin does, as a kind of human desire to feel special, to feel like there's something unique and special about me. Well, we all have that, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a healthy thing. And in fact, to have none of that, to view yourself as completely not special and not unique, you really lose your sense of yourself and your sense of identity. So there are people who don't have enough narcissism. And some of those people seem very much attracted to people who have way too much narcissism, where it's like, I have to feel special, and I'm only worth anything if I'm uniquely special. And there is another sort of definition of narcissism Brené Brown uses, and I agree with her. She'll say narcissism is a shame-based fear of being ordinary.
Right.
So that's the sort of conceptions that I would kind of go along with, I think are really true. And then there's also the psychiatric definition that draws on some of those concepts, but really pins it down to what are the behaviors that you see in the DSM criteria for narcissism. So things like fantasies of ideal love or unlimited power and success, a lack of empathy for other people, some of the more antagonistic features of narcissism, which you get in the narcissistic personality disorder diagnosis. I think what the diagnostic criteria doesn't do is kind of unpick some of the psychological processes that are underlying those presentations.